The Arctic Circle is a vast and frigid expanse that stretches across 8 countries: Canada, the United States and Alaska, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia. Despite its harsh climate, human civilizations have thrived here for thousands of years. From the ancient traditions of the Inuit to the rich histories of the Sámi and Evenki, the Arctic remains home to resilient cultures shaped by ice, snow, and survival. The earliest known Arctic inhabitants migrated north thousands of years ago. Archaeological evidence suggests that Paleo-Eskimos, ancestors of the modern Inuit, crossed the Bering Strait from Siberia into North America as early as 4000 BCE. Meanwhile, in the European Arctic, the Sami people, descendants of ancient hunter-gatherers, spread across the northern reaches of Scandinavia. One of the most well-known Arctic cultures is the Inuit, whose ancestors, the Thule, emerged around 1000 CE. The Thule were expert hunters of marine mammals, including seals, whales, and walrus. They developed the kayak and umiak for navigating icy waters and built igloos for shelter. Over centuries, Inuit societies adapted to the extreme Arctic environment, forming close-knit communities and passing down oral traditions, mythology, and survival techniques. Further west, the Sami people have lived in the Arctic for thousands of years, sustaining themselves through fishing, fur trapping, and reindeer herding. Unlike the nomadic Inuit, many Sami developed semi-permanent settlements. They spoke languages belonging to the Uralic family and maintained spiritual practices deeply connected to the land and animals. Despite facing colonization pressures from Scandinavia, Sami culture persists today, with ongoing efforts to preserve language and traditions. The Sami people are the Nordic country's only official indigenous people, inhabiting the north of Scandinavia, Sápmi. In Siberia, the Nenets, Evenki, and Chukchi have maintained a deep relationship with the Arctic landscape. The Nenets, known for their vast reindeer herds, migrate across the tundra in one of the last large-scale nomadic traditions in the modern world. Similarly, the Evenki people, skilled in hunting and herding, adapted to life in the boreal forests and tundra. Russian expansion in the 17th century brought changes to their way of life, but their cultural identity remains strong. The arrival of European explorers in the 18th and 19th centuries marked a turning point for Arctic indigenous cultures. The search for the Northwest Passage and Arctic resources led to encounters with Inuit, Sami, and Siberian indigenous groups. While some exchanges were peaceful and led to trade, others resulted in the spread of disease, loss of traditional lands, and forced assimilation into colonial societies. In the 19th and 20th centuries, many Arctic indigenous communities faced policies of forced assimilation. Boarding schools in Canada, Alaska, and Russia sought to eradicate indigenous languages and customs. Reindeer herding among the Sami was regulated by Scandinavian governments, and Inuit children were often taken from their families to be placed in state-run institutions. Despite these challenges, indigenous Arctic peoples fought to maintain their traditions, languages, and sovereignty. The history of Arctic cultures is one of endurance, adaptation, and resilience. Despite centuries of colonization, environmental shifts, and modernization, the Inuit, Sami, Nenets, and other indigenous Arctic peoples remain stewards of one of the world's most extreme environments. Their stories continue to unfold, shaping the future of the Arctic for generations to come. Today, Arctic indigenous communities are reclaiming their identities and advocating for their rights. Organizations like the Inuit Circumpolar Council and the Sami Parliament work to protect indigenous land rights, environmental concerns, and cultural preservation. Climate change presents a new threat to the Arctic, as melting ice disrupts traditional hunting patterns and threatens coastal communities. Yet, Arctic people continue to adapt, using technology and activism to preserve their way of life. The history of Arctic cultures is one of endurance, adaptation, and resilience. Despite centuries of colonization, environmental shifts, and modernization, the Inuit, Sami, Nenets, and other indigenous Arctic peoples remain stewards of one of the world's most extreme environments. Their stories continue to unfold, shaping the future of the Arctic for generations to come.